My name's Melissa Avera, and I love being a realtor. I specialize in real estate in the DFW and surrounding areas, and I also grew up here, so I'm very familiar with the Metroplex. Buying or selling a home can be an extremely stressful task, so I really try to go the extra mile to take that stress out of my clients' hands.
This is Going the Extra Mile. Now, from Frito Nation Productions in the Caddo Office Reimagined Studios, here's Melissa.
Thanks, Chris. Hey, everybody. I'm really fired up today to be in the studio and talk to you about something that has been on my mind a lot lately, and I've had a lot of experiences even today that just blow my mind. So it's on my heart to talk about. And it boils down to customer service, but essentially it's just like, getting back to basics, like how to win in life and in your business and just every aspect. And to me, what it really boils down to is I can't pinpoint a time when things have like totally shifted in my mind, but definitely since COVID, customer service places just is so atrocious. It just makes me sick to see how people are doing other people. And I'm a small business owner. And to me, that is, if you don't have customer service or good customer service, you are just digging yourself in a hole to become out of business. And people, we have to get back to the basics, get back to the fundamentals. So many people want to go the extra mile per se, but they want to win the client over, but they suck at the basic stuff. That's what gets you the client in the first place, So it's just like getting the fundamentals down. To me, if you do that and you master it, the level of everything else you do is going to rise or get better. And for me and my business, right, just an example, I'm a realtor. So I'm helping people buy and sell. They're 9 times out of 10 the biggest asset, right? It's a big deal. It needs to be right. And there definitely needs to be a level of trust there. If somebody is calling me and leaving me 10 voicemails, wanting to know what their home is worth, and I'm not getting back to them and things like that, you know what? If somebody did that to me, I wouldn't call them again. They're too busy for me to even return a call. They're not going to get my business. It's kind of basic stuff, but it's so blatantly obvious to me nowadays. And it's like some of the core fundamentals. And I feel like these are in my business, but they're really with any business is, building a relationship with someone, right? To find out what motivates them. For me, it's buying, selling, investing, in homes. So it's just find out what makes people tick, find common ground, build the relationship with them, and then everything will just go up from there. And to me, the biggest thing that nowadays I feel like people just really stink at is communication. And that drives me nuts because that is so essential in any business right now. I always tell my clients, if I'm selling their home, right? I'm talking to them pretty regularly. I would say almost daily. But I always tell them up front, hey, we're probably going to talk a lot, but you can always count on hearing from me Friday. I will call you. I will give you an update on anything that's happened, any development, so people know what the heck is going on. Nobody wants to be left in the dark, right? Then they're going to start to lose trust, and it's kind of like people overpromise and they totally underdeliver, right? And when I meet with a client for the first time, depending on what they're trying to do, I have very real conversation with them because I'm just a transparent person. And I set the level of standard. I communicate with them what you can expect when you work with me. And I do that because I want them to know, hey, this girl's for real, and I'm going to do everything I say I'm going to do, right? And then you master that, And then you do what I call the added extras, or hence going the extra mile, right? So it's just like people need to get back and bring life and freshness to the fundamentals of your business, that make a customer tick, and know your stuff. I mean, I get crazy questions all the time, and I learn something new every day. I would say I am definitely an expert in my field, but there's different areas that's not my forte, right? But so if somebody asks me a question and I don't know the answer, I'm not afraid to say, hey, you know what? I'm not 100% sure. I think it's this, but let me consult with so-and-so, and I will get back to you today. I mean, to me, it's the professional way to handle it. And I've dealt with so many customer service issues lately where people are just like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, can you find out? I'm thinking, really? Like, ask your manager. It's not that hard, So it's if you don't know the core stuff of your business and you can't answer some of the basic stuff, you're probably in the wrong field, or you seriously need to invest in just ongoing professional development, for yourself, or your company needs to invest in it. It all goes back to just, if you want to win like a pro and be a pro in your field, you have to provide great customer service. And to me, that's building lasting relationships. That's exceeding people's expectations. It's preach what you talk about, like do it yourself. And for me, being, again, small business owner, I try to run my business exclusively by referral. And if my customer service sucks and my people have a crappy experience, they're not going to refer me to anybody, and I will be out of business real quick. So I think people need to go back and remember, like, hey, business in my mind is best done by referral. And if I want you to send your friends and colleagues and whatever my way, I need to bust my butt to, give you the best experience possible. And I get so frustrated. I have a client that I was talking to on the way over here who was really upset. There's one particular builder, I'm not going to say their name, but they are the worst in the industry. I mean, they just suck. I will be totally honest. And they build crappy houses. They do people dirty. It's so obvious. Like, anytime, it's so bad that anytime one of my clients is like, hey, I found a house with this builder, I want to put a contract in on it, I almost just want to tell them, hey, you know what? Just do it unrepresented, because I don't even want a piece of it. It's so bad that I don't even want to make money on it, because they don't pay you crap anyway, but they treat you so awful, and their communication is terrible, right? So I have two people right now with the same builder, two separate deals where they've signed contracts. And today the builder called me and was like, well, on this contract, we're just going to go and terminate it. Why? Well, because they haven't sold their current house yet. Well, you never told us that was right. We're working on it, but that should have been communicated from the get-go. Like, hey, in order to perform and move forward here, you need to have sold your home by whatever date. And then we get after it, right? But it's like people wait till the last minute, and then they know, like, it's so unrealistic to get a contract in the way the market is now and close on it that quick. It's just not going to happen. And so I'm having to have the hard conversation with my client and say, hey, we can go for it and try it, because I know you really want to make this work, but I'm going to be real honest with you. Like, even if we listed your house today, which we're not doing, and we got a contract today, which is highly unlikely, it still wouldn't meet the timeline. Like, it's just so unreasonable. And it's like they just want to yank the cord on people, so they're like, we're just going to terminate your contract.
It's incredible.
Yeah. And then they make you fight to get like any deposit money back. And they just screw people. And it's just so sad. Like another example, yesterday, I have had a lawn service company for well over a decade service 2 homes to maintain the yard for like weeds and things like that. And I mean, like that's a long time to be a customer. And in the last couple of months, I keep getting letters from them saying they're going to report me to some credit bureau for some unpaid balance. And I'm like, this isn't right. I have a credit card on file. They auto bill me. It's being auto billed. Like, what's the problem? And so for the last 2 months, every month, I've had to call this company and kind of be like, what is the deal? I'm sick of calling every month to have to rectify this. And you tell me it's taken care of. And, oh, no, we didn't report you, but yet I'm getting these letters and whatever. So finally this week, I'd had enough. And it's funny because I'm on hold forever. And it's this auto message. And all it's talking about is how customer service is their top priority.
How important your call is.
Right. And then this woman gets on the phone and you can tell that she, you know, and I'm just being very polite. I'm not acting upset or being hateful and you can tell like she is not thrilled to be there just by the tone.
She's got no equity in the company.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether she helps you or not.
Yeah, I'm just here for a paycheck.
Yeah, she's getting paid.
And like, hey, can you help me out with this? And explained, and there was a no, like, I'm so sorry, ma'am. Let me see what I can do. There was none of it, right? And then I said, well, what do we need to do to take care of this? And she goes, just pay the balance. And I said, okay, I don't understand why. This credit card is active. It's not expired. But here, I'll just give you another one. Well, I want to make this right. And so I paid it, and then I said, and please cancel my service, effective immediately. And then she kind of hemmed and hawed around and, well, ma'am, we hate to lose you. And I'm like, look, I'm really tired of doing this every month. I don't have time for this. Please cancel it. So I canceled the service, and now they're blowing me up via email. Please come back for one free service. We'll service your lawns for a month for free. And I'm like,
you had your chance.
Like,
you had me.
You had me for over a decade.
I wasn't going anywhere.
Right. And it's just, and the thing that when it goes back to it that is so frustrating that this went on. So like these people, they just send me letters in the mail. They don't, and it's not even from them. It's from a third party. They have my number. They have my email address. Why not try to call and say, hey, Melissa, for whatever reason, your credit card's not being billed and we don't want to have to report you to a credit bureau. So I just wanted to call and see if we could take care of this payment. Like, to me, that's the customer service. You have all my information. Did they reach out via phone, via text, via email? No. And another example, this just made me laugh. One of my best friends called last weekend, and he was on fire. I mean, he was lit up. And his HOA, pretty much, he was just at home and somebody's knocking on his door. It's like, serves him, like, had to sign for this letter, this whole stuff. And it's a letter from the HOA saying, pretty much, we're going to put a lien on your house because you haven't paid your HOA dues. Yep. Well, they had recently bought. So nothing had been communicated. They weren't aware when stuff was due. Just all of it. And so he knows where the HOA office is. And this is seriously one of the nicest guys you would ever meet. So he just waltzes up there with his checkbook and is like, oh, God, I want to make this right. Goes in and is just really polite. Like, hey, I got this letter. I don't know what the heck is the deal, but here, I'll write you a check right now. But can you, again, reporting him to all this stuff. And he's like, can you please help me with this third party thing? And they're like, no. And he's like, and they're like, you can't write us a check for it either. We can't take your payment. He's like, you're telling me I owe X amount, and now you're going to fine me an additional $1,000 for something I never even knew when it was due.
Do you know the name of the management company?
Yeah, but I'd rather not say.
Okay, I'll ask you later on.
Yeah.
Because
Another one that sucks, and they're a big one. And so pretty much he calls me as soon as he left that office, and I've never heard somebody like he was wanting to set the joint on fire.
HOA management companies.
They
I don't
are
need to
like
tell you.
Nazis.
But like, I had automatic debit. They took it out quarterly, but then they stopped it. So I wrote them a check for a full year. All they do is it really wasn't that much money.
Right.
I wrote them a check for a full year, and they sent me a refund because they wanted to get paid quarterly.
Oh my God.
And what they really wanted was for me to be late so they could assess the late fees.
Yeah, that's how
And
they make money.
I went round and round with them. I was like, let me pay. I'll pay 5 years. I'll give you the money 5 years in advance. But they refused to accept it. They wanted to get paid quarterly. So every quarter I had to remember to write them that little check.
Oh, and that's what he was doing. He's like, look, I'll pay you full this amount, and I'll pay you for full this year.
Yeah.
Like I'm just trying to make this right. And it's just like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. You're going to have to take it up with a third party. And he's like, you are clearly affiliated with this third party that I have no...
By the way, the third party's probably working for you.
Exactly. And I mean, and so then I'm like, screw these people. I'm going to talk to my attorney friend. And so I talked to my attorney and I'm like, hey, can they do this, this, and this? And he's like, this, yes, this, no. Read the bylaws, and it's just so, it's like, oh my God, you're telling me I owe you money. I come in, I'm gladly trying to pay it and be an outstanding citizen and just make it right. And they don't even give a, pardon my French, shit. And they just look at him and like, sorry, we can't help you. You can leave now. I mean, that's enough to make your blood boil. Like they're trying to put a lien on your house for something you didn't even know that was never communicated. And going back to my whole like lawn thing, again, HOA companies, they have all of your information. I mean, they had his email, they had his phone number. Mm-hmm. And he got so pissed, he went back up there and was like, why didn't you jerks email me about this? And say, hey, I mean, because it's not like this has just been like, oh, it's a few weeks late. These dues were due January 1st of this year. We are in October, really? Yep. So they've waited 10 months and they've never communicated until now. And then they make it impossible to rectify. And I'm just like, there's so much of that that is happening now that, I'm like, one of my business coaches, I kind of laugh at him, but it's the God's honest truth. He always says, in the next decade, I am going to make millions. I am going to make a fortune by just teaching basic customer service to people. And I kind of always laugh at it, but I'm like, 100%, it's true.
Yep.
How to treat people. Please, thank you. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. I mean, it's not that hard, but people just overcomplicate things, or I feel like everybody for some reason has this outlook now that everybody's out to screw them. Like, oh, they're just out to get me. They're out to, and I'm like, well, when did that change? I thought we're supposed to try to help each other through life. Like, really, guys, we're all in everything together. Let's just, if you can play fair, things will be better. But anyway, I truly encourage everybody to review your basics, just the basic fundamentals of your business and level up. I mean, figure out how to do things better. Like, example for me of like what I would consider going the extra mile for somebody, doing the added extras after you've already done what is expected, right? Like if I have a client who's moving, right? And I know, okay, hey, they're about to start packing up all their stuff. I'll just show up at their house with sometimes 20, sometimes 50, depends on how many I can get my hands on, moving boxes.
You're by far the exception to the rule, by the way, but
well, thanks.
You're definitely on the extreme.
It's like I try to think of all the things that my clients will need during the process that I can help provide that they will appreciate. And sometimes you don't have to spend a bunch of money on this stuff, guys. Like in my neighborhood, our Facebook page, like my neighborhood's awesome. Like people move all the time and they'll be like, hey, I have 40 moving boxes in great condition. Does anybody need them? And I'll say, I'll take them. And they're thrilled that I come over and take them.
Yep.
I pile my car full of them. I go to Home Depot, buy a couple of tape guns, the package, peanuts and the bubble wrap. And I show up at my client's door with 50 moving boxes and tape, everything they need. And they love me for that because, one, it's saving them a trip, and that stuff is not cheap.
Well, it shows that you're thinking, too.
Well,
even
right.
if they don't need it, even if they've got it covered, they look at you and say, oh, my gosh.
Right. I want to provide the level of service that they deserve. Right. And I kind of do that with buying, selling a home. It's a process. It's not like it happens during one day. Right. So I try to find things and every client's a little bit different things they may need. And it's like, okay, like the moving boxes, for example, or, if something's going sideways and we're having a hard time negotiating something, I'll just be like, oh, this was stressful. I'm popping by their house and I'm leaving them a bottle to pop to ease the turmoil or whatever they've had to endure, like to try to make it an enjoyable process. Because I think what it really boils down to, guys, is at the end of the day, you always need to think to yourself, no matter if you're building a fence, if you're mowing a lawn, if you're selling a house, if you're recording a podcast, whatever it is, like when the job is done, can you put your name to it? And be confident, because every client, I want to be able to ask them at the end of when we're finished, would you please write me a review? And I only want the review if they're going to write a 5-star review. I don't want 4, I want 5, because I want to provide the best. And if they want to give me a 4-star review, I want to know. And I'm not trying to be, I want the feedback.
Yeah.
If they're like, hey, Melissa, we had a great experience with you. This is the only part that we kind of struggled with, but this isn't on you. But hey, maybe if you did this, that would improve it. I appreciate that because we're not mind readers. And if there's something I could have done different that would help you or make you enjoy the process better, I want you to tell me that so I can improve, right? People are so reluctant because they just look at criticism as negative. There's positive feedback, right? And if I can't put my name to it, or if I think somebody's had a really crappy experience, well, I'm not going to ask them for a review, but I don't even want them as a client, right? It's just not worth it. So you just have to get back to, the basics. And honestly, I feel like in the world we live in now, it is easier. It is easier than ever to succeed right now than ever before.
Amen.
If you just do the right thing. And people just don't take the time to do it.
If you have questions about buying, selling, renting, or investing, don't go at it alone. Reach out to Melissa at 214-280-4317 or Melissa at melissamovesdfw.com. You can find out more about the Melissa Avera Realty Group at TVG by visiting melissamovesdfw.com. Thank you for listening to Going the Extra Mile.